Most people are crisis. Trauma awaits diagnosis of disease. They feel so changed in their lives. They no longer feel like themselves. They expect one tragic event to happen. Your emails, not interested in answering their messages. Going out to dinner, not interested in seeing the same people. Suddenly breaking away from their known lives. They begin to observe who they are. Action to do this when you no longer feel like yourself. And yourself enough to start seeing through someone else's eyes. When you feel changed, this is the first change. Now, my message is, why wait for this? To start seeing yourself. Why? You wait for that point where you are on the lowest denominator. Why not define with one future vision? In other words, most people do not create a future because more than they believe in their future, believe in their past. Most people succumb to possibility because they fall in love with their past or are more in love with their past than their future. Why not fall in love with another future? Most people like to tell the story of their past. I'm new about their future one. I want them to tell stories. This process of change and transformation, one state of mind and body, one other state of mind and body, so that you and I can do it. Old self here. Here is the new self. We have to cross this river to reach the new self. The hardest part about making changes in your life, one not to make the same choice you made the day before. Now I want to warn you, the moment you decide to do something differently, be ready as soon as you decide to make one different choice, because you will feel uncomfortable. Will suddenly start to feel foreign. There will be some uncertainties in your life. You won't guess the next moment. Because about myself, I'm changing this. As soon as you say and start the process of change, you step into that river. If you are in the familiar one past or if you miss the foreseeable future, you decide to make one different choice, and the moment you step into that river, remember that the body is conditioned to be the mind. The servant is master now. And the moment we declare it in our lives, I will exercise or do my meditations every morning, or I won't eat anything after 6 in the evening, or I won't curse, like I won't complain. You decide to change one thing about yourself, and your body enters the same chemistry and the same neurological, when it is conditioned or understood. The moment you do one different thing and step into it, body knows, leaves the area he knows. So is the mind. The body wants to hold on to what it knows. It is now the mind, and it is so objective, know only on the basis of familiarity. So no more complaining, not making excuses, not to pity yourself, or decide not to judge anyone else. One about yourself. You decide to change things, and the moment you step into that river, the body suddenly realizes that it is no longer in its known place. You have stepped into that void, into the unknown. Now conditioned or accustomed to being the mind, the body wants to go back to what it knows. So suddenly, it starts to affect the mind. That's when you start hearing nagging in your head. You start to hear these thoughts. Why don't you start tomorrow? It's so hard, you'll never change. No one else changes. It's my ex's fault, my mother's fault. Not enough of this, not enough of this. How much to drive? These are thoughts that affect the body. If you respond as if this thought is true, this thought will lead to the same choice, and that will lead to the same behavior, and that will create the same experience. Same experience. Produce the same feeling, or the same feeling, and you. It feels right. You will say, but I want you to know it sounds familiar. On the way from the old self to the new self, there is one biological death that continues while crossing that river. This happens neurologically. You say this is the circuit. You keep certain thoughts from firing. You weaken your connections. They no longer make the same choices. You don't produce the same neurochemistry. They no longer produce the same hormones. You don't produce the same chemistry or emotions in the body. Now, the same genes, the same feelings, and you don't signal with the same behavior. This process of change from the old self to the new self, neurological of the old self, biological chemical, hormonal genetic death. Now, you're in the unknown place. This is the perfect place to create. People always tell me, says I can't predict my future. I always say, the best way to predict your future, to create it. Now this is the fun place. He decides to overcome this personality and become fully conscious of your unconscious self. The day you warned, you don't become unconscious. This is a good day to be alive. You say okay before I get my coffee, before I take my shower, before using the toilet, before looking at my messages, before checking WhatsApp, before looking at Facebook and Instagram. Everything in my life, my habit of connecting from my mobile phone before getting caught. What is the greatest expression of myself I can be today? This is the moment you get up from the stands and step onto the field. What thoughts do I want to start in my brain? If you said, and all day, if you decided to pay attention to these thoughts, the act of thinking those thoughts over and over, everything is possible, great things happen to me. I'm excited for my day. If you continue to hold these thoughts, neurological hardware in your brain, you start building through these connections. If you keep doing this over time, that hardware will be one software program, and will be the new sound in your head. You can do anything. Saying anything is possible. That sound is the circuit you make. So I can't do it in your head, or instead of this impossible. The new thought that will speak to you. Or one day, one life. Today, I have a great day. Great one. What is life? And certain actions with your eyes closed. Things you do. If you started rehearsing with your mind, when you close your eyes and open, who you will be and what you will do. The act of mentally rehearsing really gives yourself, and if you focus, images in your mind starts implanting neurological hardware in your brain. If you give yourself in another way, brain with real life experience doesn't know the difference between dreaming, as if you have already done your brain. You start changing. The brain is no longer a record of the past. With that nervous equipment now installed, becoming a map of the future. And if you keep doing it over and over again, hardware one becomes a software program. And naturally, you start behaving this way. You can act happy naturally. There is no mystery here. You set up the circuits to do this. Now, if you say that now is the hard part. If I had one incredibly successful day today, how would I feel? How would I feel if I had the best of the day? How does it feel to be awesome? How does abundance feel one? How is health one feeling? And how you will come emotionally into my body one? You said you'll teach before it happens. One, to feel this abundance means you don't expect wealth. To feel empowered. Do not expect to be successful. You don't expect a new relationship to feel love. You do not expect healing for wholeness or gratitude. To feel awe and wonder. You don't expect synchronicity or mystical one moment. This is the old model of cause and effect reality. This is politics. This is duality in our lives. Emptiness and lack is where we live. One things around us will eliminate our emptiness or lack one. Experience waits. Most people live their entire lives to feel better about themselves, waiting for their lives to change. They spend it believing that they do not have one effect on it. This is one kind of classic model of Newton physics, a quantum model of reality. It is not about cause and effect. Quantum model of reality one is about making an impact. That you value yourself and in abundance. When you start feeling that you are producing wealth, to feel empowered. And that's when your body starts to feel it. Now, you are stepping towards your success. When you fall in love with yourself and love life, you start to attract your peers to yourself. The moment you start to feel gratitude and wholeness, start with your healing. and your life is in awe. You will have one synchronicity or mystical one moment. This makes one effect. Then most people are hypnotized. And to make them feel better here, that there should be something outside for conditioning them to believe, they have to make some changes. We teach people the opposite. This feeling, the moment you feel and truly give yourself, your body in the present moment, he begins to believe that he lives in the reality of the future, forgetting the biological change model we mentioned. Learning again, break the habit of the old self, reinventing the new self, pruning of synaptic connections, and the sprouting of new connections, program deletion and reprogramming, reestablish connections, reset your mind, feelings stored in the body, to learn how to remove from memory, creating a new mind, and then start the conditioning process, conditioning the body to a new mind in a new emotion. Change process.